Anyway, we're talking about CVs, and the reason we're talking about CVs is because it is crew hiring time. It's important that this time of year, the Mediterranean season kind of kicks into gear. February, March, people start looking to build a team. Same as in Fort Lauderdale, we've finished the Caribbean season nearly, and we're starting in to the next season, which is either up northeast to the Mediterranean or down towards Costa Rica, which is the unbridled platform. So it is hiring time. Alex, are you seeing a lot of traction on your end with people looking for jobs and crew?
Yeah, a lot of people are either doing their training now or finishing up with their training and getting their visa sorted out to help a lot of South Africans mainly, but also people all over the world with recruitment, helping them develop their CV, their personal brand so they can present themselves in the best possible way. And you came up with the idea to talk about the do's and don'ts of crafting a CV. What to you is the most crucial aspect of a CV in today's world? Because I know it's changed over the last couple of decades and years. It's changed significantly with the tools we have.
Yeah, true. And good question, the do's and don'ts. And the reason I kind of brought that up is, 25 years of yachting and 14 crew on the current platform I'm on with, 4 or 5 other crew around that we sometimes bring on for guest purposes for Motor Yacht Unbridled. But it's a tough one because when you look for a position, the first thing I usually ask for is describe the position. So a head of department will come saying we need a new second or third stew, for example. The first thing I'll say is, what's the description of the job? So you've kind of got to backtrack a little bit, and this might be a bit time consuming, but you got to backtrack and say, when there's a vacancy, as a captain and heads of department, focus on that vacancy. I had a great chat to Captain Scott and Captain Kelly Gordon this morning, nice and early with a cup of tea, and we decided that, hire slow is a really important thing. The last crew we just employed, it's about a month and a half. Second engineer, month and a half to get them from hiring to on board, because we really vet them properly. Because you're bringing someone into your own home, it's your own personal space, and it's the crew's personal space. So what I do is I first get the description of what I'm looking for, and then I'll go out to the crew agents and I'll speak to the crew first and then go out to the crew agents and say, this is what I'm looking for. It might be a second stew with masseuse skills. It might be a deckhand with drone skills. It may be a second engineer with AVIT skills. So it's kind of important that you understand what you're looking for exactly, and that helps the crew, because we can't just put all the blame on getting a crew and they're not fitting the job. You've got to fit the square in a square hole, per se. So a couple of quick questions. Abby Biosa said no response because she's a green stew. That's some of the frustrations she has. It's important as heads of department, as captains, we do try and respond to crew. Even if they're looking for a job, say thank you, it's being filled. You're in the top 10, you're on the short list. Manda Panda Tull said, should we put the age on it? I think date of birth and your personal requirements are important. Same as your socials are becoming more important. I'm trying to give you as much transparency and clarity in the industry that I can. And I'm fortunate to have a wealth of experience in all different cruising grounds and different brokerage firms. So firstly, describe the job. Second, go to the crew agencies. Crew Pacific in Australia, all over the world, has great crew. I'm biased because I am Australian, I think, but Australia has a great training platform for crew, and Crew Pacific and Joy Western really has a great training ground. And then they bring crew in nice and slowly. Also out there is Yacht Spot, which is a fantastic platform. They do wonderful work and they've really brought a lot of people together in the industry. And then Northern & Johnson, Marcy Williams on the East Coast, and on the West Coast, Savannah over in Europe as well. We've got a team. Those are the 3 that I usually use. But when I get the 10 resumes, let's more talk about the do's and the don'ts. When I get those 10 resumes, the very first thing I do is print them, Alex. And it sounds a bit silly, but I print them. And if it doesn't print well, that's not a good start. A lot of times people won't have it in a good PDF, or the borders won't be right and it won't print easily. The reason I print it is I want to be transparent to crew. I want to say, we're looking for someone. We're thinking of this person. How do you feel about that? And most times I do it when we're underway, Alex. And it's an interesting thing. We kind of have a 4-day passage. The different watch keepers come up. The resumes are sitting there. Some crew will look at their socials. Some crew will look at their resume. Some people know of them. That's important. So just remember the resumes you give. The heads of department will have a view, and the different heads of department will come together. The common goal is unification of crew for the common purpose of giving the owner or clients an exceptional guest experience. So what are some of the things you've seen, Alex, that have kind of stood out for you in resumes? Because you're more of a digital age person.
Yeah, so I've seen uh, the evolution of CVs and resumes over the years. Also, I've created my own. It used to be a simple Word document, but now that's not good enough if it's just black and white. In today's world, design is important. When I get a whole bunch of resumes coming through, I look at the design. You also mentioned that format is important.
Yes.
If I don't want to click on a link that's going to open in Word or something. PDF to me is always best because now I can share it on WhatsApp. Everyone's
Exactly.
using WhatsApp nowadays.
Yeah.
So I encourage everyone to create a PDF document, and if they don't know how to do that, I help guide them. But also, I like to see that they're capable of creating a PDF themselves because it's not that difficult. So design is crucial. A good profile picture is important, and then also yachting has a standard structure as well.
Yes.
So you've got the title, you've got your position, personal profile, objective, the qualifications as well. But I wanted to ask you as a captain, how important is the design of a CV now that people have access to tools like Canva, which is very easy?
Yeah, you can read, I don't know, you can read through it. I mean, to me, the first thing you want to see is simple. Just keep it simple. You want to catch an attention. You don't want too much information. You just want to keep it simple, keep it nice, keep it so the captain can either see your specific details and specific skills. I mean, what I look for when I open the resume and I've got them printed and I've got 4 or 5 resumes, and this is kind of what I do. I flick through them and I just go, all right, perfect. I look straight down to what are their kind of likes, what are their hobbies. And this is interesting because people don't think about that as important. You've already had it vetted probably with a wonderful crew agent like Joy Weston or Marcy Williams or Claire at Yacht Spot. It's been vetted. So you're getting some candidates, and also from Facebook or wherever you get them, you've already somewhat vetted them for the position. So then I look at what are their likes and dislikes. Do they like yoga? Do they like photography? Do they like reading? Do they like cooking? How does that match with the crew? Because it's so important that when you have people come on board, do they match with the crew? And there's another good question here. I've had a couple of these times. Why South Africans? What makes them so good? And that's a good question. I mean, you're South African, Alex, so a bit biased. But what makes them stand out, I think, is their willingness to get a result. They're very results-driven, South Africans. Whereas other different cultures, without any disrespect, don't have that kind of fire, that teamwork, that motivation. So they're all wonderful crew. The Australian have great skills.
South Africans have that hunger because coming into the super yachting industry, the exchange rate is significant for us. So we're willing to do, at least from what I know, we're willing to do whatever it takes, because that paycheck is significant for us at the end of the day. And it's maybe 3 times more than what we would be making if we stayed at home and progressed through the ranks in a normal job.
True. But the other thing too is getting into yachting's the tough bit. Once you're in, and I'm not sure the people on YouTube can hear you, Alex. I think they can. But I think once you're into yachting, it does become a little bit easier. So you start getting into that network of people. But it's that initial getting into yachting that's tough. So a couple of things from Joy Weston's. Keep it simple. Follow super yacht crewing agents. Super yacht resume templates. I've put a template in here from Crew Pacific. There's one from Yacht Spot, a video about resume plannings. Really follow them. Whatever crew agent you're using out there, they've got guidelines, and if you follow those guidelines, it does make it a little bit easier for captains to kind of see, all right, it's been filtered, you've really tried here. The other thing is your contact information. Put it up to date. For me, I go QR codes. When I see a QR code on a resume or a link I can follow on a PDF, that goes to references, or a little video, like an introductory video, similar to what YachtSpot do on their platforms, it's a huge asset. Because I've got a resume here. Okay, I want to contact that person. I'm in the bridge, I finished my shift, I've got to manually type it in. But if I can get a QR code, Alex, press it, link, send an email to Samantha and say, I'm interested in discussing it further, what time suits you? And that's usually how I start. I don't just offer a job to someone. I try and then say, what time suits you? Or what's your availability like? And really kind of work into it. And then I start by saying, look, it's really an environment we're trying to create on Unbridled that's positive, and it's important we bring people in that understand the standard and also the short and long-term goals. So what are your short and long-term goals? What's your standard? What are you looking for in yachting? And that starts it off, rather than going, I want this amount, I want this. If people are looking for that dollar time off package, generally it's not a comfortable fit, because they're demanding a bit more than what they're giving out in terms of personality. And in the end of the day, what's important is for an owner to stand beside someone, or to be offered and served in a way that they feel comfortable, not as in a master-servant relationship. Some owners have that, some don't. But from a client, I've always seen clients as very, they know what they want, but the peace and tranquility and positivity of a crew always exceeds than that dry, cutthroat kind of attitude that people bring out. And it shows from the very start. And then,
so that's a red flag for you then.
And that's what I was going to say. You're looking for the red flags. And if it don't have any, you're going down the right path with this crew member. They might like bike riding. Cool, I like bike riding. That's a positive, And we keep going down that path. Another couple of ones with your photos, take a bit of effort on your photos. Don't wear your hat sideways and your sunglasses on, or in a fancy floral dress. Just be clean cut, presentable. Be yourself, as the owner would like to see you walking onto the yacht. And that's gone away lately. I really think, Alex, and I see a lot of resume pictures, and it's a bit more color and it's a bit more on the beach.
Wearing sunglasses.
Sunglasses. It's, even the beards and the tattoos, there's a place for it.
Free shirts as well.
Yeah.
Like putting effort into your CV in every detail. For instance, the design, the PDF, the email structure when you're sitting through, or through WhatsApp, that curated message. What to you has stood out among crew there, where you're like, okay, these guys I like, and I want to investigate more? What gets them to that interview process?
So we'll start with 10 usually, and then we'll get down to about 3 to 5. And then I'll really discuss it with the other heads of department. And then I'll discuss it with the main head of department who's working with that crew member. And that's the filtration system. So once it gets down to that, it's really kind of a collaborative effort of the crew saying, this person feels like it's a good fit. And then I'll kind of reach out to them and I'll just discuss, what's your short and long-term goals? Where are you? How's your family? What's happening? Kind of bridge talk is what I call it, is bridge talk. Where are you from? What's your story? What are you thinking in life? I try and break it down a little bit. And like what you did with Marshall and Sarah, the vetting that they went through with you was phenomenal. And they're wonderful crew members, and you can see the positivity. So it's the vetting process. The red flags that stick out is generally, for me, a quick turnover in their resumes. Like, I've been blessed 25 years, 6 or 7 yachts. I don't change much. I'm not asking for 5 years on yachts. I'm just asking for 6 months or 1 year minimum. And that's the longevity I'm kind of looking for. So they're the red flags. When I start to see multiple boats turning over, it means you haven't really gone through the difficult conversations of that was a terrible day, how do we do better? That was a tough season, and that's really what we're looking for, is can you get through a season or two with the current crew you're on, in the current boat, to make it better. And I always advise crew, stick it out a year, go for it. Unless there's negative situations that are happening, I really think try and get a year onto a vessel, or a season at very minimum, a good 6 months. Don't try and change mid-season unless there's obviously issues that affect your physical or mental health. Another couple of things to
there's
enjoy is maritime qualifications are important, Alex. Add your interests like we talked about. Referees or references should be on there. And you can also ask for more reference. But I liked someone put a little summary of their reference, Alex. Like it said, let's say Captain Mark,
nice.
hard worker, punctual. And I was like, cool. On a resume, I know Captain Mark said hard worker and punctual. That's to me is a good sign. And what about you?
I think that's a great one, having the testimonials listed on the CV. I also see that having it just 2 pages and well curated. For me, design is everything, because sometimes when you're going through hundreds of CVs, you need it to look great straight from the get-go. And then from there, take it into the interview process. How do they communicate? Are they efficient communicators? Or are they just trying to see how they can benefit themselves at the end of the day? Because I'm always looking for people that are team players. Another question I had for you is, when do you know that they are just yacht hoppers or if they just had bad luck? How do you determine that? Because there's a lot of crew who face bad luck in the industry.
Yeah, good question. I mean, once I employ, this is probably on the onset. You're looking at their references or their resumes. I really do speak to their references. That's important. You know, you take your time. You speak to the captains. I mean, I probably get 1 to 3 a day, if not a week minimum, of captains just texting me, or chief stews or chief officers just texting, and have you got a minute to chat about this person? And you've got to be transparent. Like, you don't have to badmouth someone, but if you say they're working on certain skills, that's helpful to a crew member or to employing someone else. And that's why I try and encourage references from heads of department, from other people they worked with. There's a lot of platforms out there now which are doing like crew pass and doing certificates. All of that's great. The more vetting, the better, because we're trying to build the yachting industry into something bigger and better than what it is, to compete with some of the, the high-end companies out there in the world that are offering exceptional services. We want to be a unified front and lift all of our standards. So don't be afraid to be vetted, and be happy. And when you leave a vessel, it's just as important as you're coming. It's the other side to it. Like, when people join, don't judge them straight away is another tip to heads of department. This kind of goes both ways. Give them 3 months. Give them a couple of weeks or a month at least before you start. If you see the red flags, okay. Start having the discussions early, but give them a chance to settle into their role. That's important for me,
And green crew over experienced crew, what do you typically aim for, especially for the junior roles, deckhand, stewardess? Are you looking for greenies and help mold them, or do you want guys that can hit the ground running and just know what they have to do straight away?
Really, it's irrelevant. It's the personality. I'll go 100%. A lot of times I'll employ a wild card in a sense with no experience in the role. Whichever role it is in a sense, except the officer roles on the bridge, of course. But training crew up's a huge, positive for me in my life. It's a huge way to test my skills. If I can't teach someone something, then I should learn better. I should educate myself more as a leader. So I like the opportunity to work with junior crew and see where they progress after that year. And then I encourage crew to leave after a year. It might be a wonderful experience working together, but go into another situation, continue to grow, build that 1 year in a resume, then go to another vessel, bigger or smaller. Keep looking for those situations. If you're happy on the same boat and it's working for you, perfect. But sometimes you get that plateau effect. Whereas, unfortunately, and this is the brutal reality, yachting can't really afford the plateau effect. It's perfection, perfection, perfection. You have to continually work on your team. When I joined Unbridled a year ago, it was a beautiful crew. What I've tried to do is build from that wonderful crew to get a better and better team, and that's all we continue to try and do. So we've kind of gone through time always, Alex. Every time you and I get together, we keep talking a lot. But there's a couple of great questions about, does age rule candidates out because I don't retire from the military until I was 38? Good question. I think we've chatted before. No, it depends on the roles you're going into. I've got 18-year-olds that, can work as hard as a 38-year-old and vice versa. So I don't really look at age as a barrier. Once again, you're looking for someone to come into your team. And every team, like every company, and we have to be professional about this, has like a company, not standing orders per se, but a company policy or a company kind of governing understanding of what that team is about. Is it about being military based and everything, perfect and dot the I's cross T's? Or is it a more relaxed situation where it's important that the crew bond with the owner? Every boat has a different platform. So be yourself. And that's the true way I think you'll identify a situation where you're comfortable. And when you're comfortable, I think you perform better. And that's my lesson to people, is just be yourself authentically. Because after a month or two at sea with a crew, your true self is going to come out. So that's my advice.
You can't hide that for too long.
You can't hide it. You are what you are. You know what I mean? And you can only try and be better each day. And there's great platforms and tools for people to be better. So on closing quickly, we've gone over and we've got some great questions. I'll try and answer the rest of them. We talked about company culture. That was the word. I know there is a platform there that on a company where you have it written, like your 10 commandments per se. What's the company ethos, for example? So someone might be able to fill me on that one. But the other side of things is YachtSpot's a great platform. They've got some do's and don'ts. Proofread it carefully, keep it concise, keep your contact information available, maintain consistent formatting, limit the length, save the right format. I've put these links down below for both companies. And there's a lot of maritime companies out there helping with crew placement. I can't really stop on one. What I can say is I love working with Crew Pacific. It's North Queensland, Australia. I love working with YachtSpot. I love working with Northam and Johnson. But there's a lot of, probably 100 crew agencies out there and different avenues to get into yachting. So come and join us, be a part of a beautiful family. Any questions, reach out. Any final words, Alex?
That's it. Just put your best foot forward. Make sure that you're presenting yourself in the best way possible. Or your documents in PDF format, because it's a lot easier to send to captains, to other crew who are connected to captains. You can send it through WhatsApp. Also easier to send it to the owner, because the owner doesn't want to open up a Word document. These are things that I've found to be crucial. Simplify the process, make it easy for the people to see your resume or your brochure of who you are, and apply to as many crew agencies as possible. There's a lot out there. If you're green, it's hard to stand out among all the other green crew as well. So be consistent, be persistent, apply to jobs every single day. Don't just wait on that one opportunity that you thought was perfect, because you're probably not going to get it anyways. Keep applying for jobs every single day, nonstop. That's what I did. I always had work. And that's what I encourage.
When I left Australia, I was a captain. I ran boats in Australia and ferries down south in Sydney at 1820. And when I got to Fort Lauderdale, my first job was with a wire brush scrubbing a dock in front of a 80-foot yacht. And I did his day work, and I scrubbed the dock with a wire brush, and then hosed it out, and I scrubbed it for about a week. And I was sitting there thinking, you know what? All I want to do is be on that yacht. And I remember that. Then after that, the next week he was like, what do you know about boats? I said, that's why I'm here. And then I got a job on that boat, and then I got a job on a 130 as a mate, and it all kind of fell in line. But be open. Some of the best crew I've had are the ones that are willing to do different jobs. Join as a day worker, get into the industry, have some fun,
I love that. I started off picking trash up at Miami Beach Marina before I stepped on board. So that's how I got in.
Yeah, think outside the box. All right, Alex, always a pleasure, mate.
Dock walking, just last question. Dock walking, what's your recommendations on that? I know South Africans are not allowed to do that in the States.
Fair enough, yeah. Yeah, internationally. I think there is communication, tools available through social media now, so the need of it is not what it was. But I think in the form dock walking, going to the agencies, going to the marinas, I think it's okay. I just think be safe, number one, because you're not vetting each other. There's a two-way street here. You don't know what situation you're getting yourself into by walking to a boat saying, I need a crew. And if that boat is turning over a lot of crew and taking whoever they want off the dock, then there's other concerns. So just be careful with yourselves, male, female out there. Don't be, naive, and just kind of vet both sides of it, if that's kind of makes sense. But just be safe, number one, if you're dock walking. And then the other risk of dock walking is the medical insurance. You shouldn't be, employed on a boat without full medical insurance. The boats need to work on a contract. So the transaction of giving contact details, I fully support and encourage, and crew should receive them and give them to the heads of department, like provisioning companies, like any other companies. So that's important. I think the dock walking side, I just pray to be safe. Don't look for boats with high turnover of crew. Boats all have a turnover of crew, but it should be about 25% in a season, I'd like to say. But try and stay to the season,
Perfect. Well, we can go on all day, but thanks for the chat, Cap.
Always a pleasure, Alex.
Thanks
folks on YouTube and all the rest of it. I hope you heard Alex. If not, we'll post it live. We'll repost it and edit and all that fancy stuff. Like and follow. Be safe, be blessed, and enjoy.
Cheers, guys. All the best.
Cheers, mate.